Hi guys, this is Bison, your host, and today I am back with a beautiful game played by none other than the Magician of Riga, Mikhail Tal. This game was played in round 23 of the 1964 Amsterdam Interzonal, and trust me, it's a game full of Tal's trademark creativity, tactical brilliance, and fearless attacking chess. And as you can see, the game starts with e4, g6, d4, bishop to g7, knight to c3. Tal develops his knight, and after that, d6, which is known as the modern defense. And as you can see, now Tal already grabs the center, and after that, he develops his another knight on f3. Okay, c6 by Georgi. Maybe he wants to expand on the queen side with a b5 push. And after that, bishop to g5. A very aggressive developing move, keeping a strong eye on the e7 and making things uncomfortable for black. Okay, so now queen to b6. So that's why he unpins the pawn, and now he is targeting the pawn on b2. But Tal is cool and calm. He doesn't go for the defense of his pawn. Instead, he decides to develop his queen to d2, which indicates that he wants to castle queenside. But doesn't it look strange? I mean, black queen is targeting b2 and Tal still wants to castle queenside. I mean, even if he decide not to capture on b2, black would you can see black would be still happy because of his placement of his queen. I mean, let's suppose if black decides to not capture this pawn and instead he decides to develop his knight, basically letting Tal to castle a queen side. My point is, because of this perfect positioning of the queen, isn't Tal is going to feel some pressure? But guys, no, that's not the case, because even if black tries to attack the white king by, let's suppose, bishop to e6, keeping an eye on the a2 pawn, now comes bishop to e3, preparing to push d5, which attacks the bishop, simultaneously attacking the queen. So that's why queen to a5, building more pressure over the a2 pawn, but simply a3. And if b5, knight to g5, putting pressure on this active bishop, which is already involved in the queenside attack. And I know some of you might be worried about the move b4, which is basically attacking the knight as well as targeting the a3 pawn. And obviously, white is not going to capture this with the a pawn, because that would, open the a file and this queen can infiltrate. So how can white tackle all of this? First of all, white can capture this bishop on e6 with knight takes e6, attacking the bishop on g7. So that's why f takes e6 is forced, and finally knight to a2. And now look at this position carefully. Here black captures and as you can see, black cannot capture this with the b pawn due to this pin. So as you can see, this position will be better for white. Okay, so in the actual game, so that's why after queen to d2, here Georgi decides to capture this pawn on b2, stopping Tal from castling queen side. And after that, rook to b1. Basically, Tal just attacks the queen, so queen to a3, and after that, bishop to c4. And now look at the placement of both bishops. It's like crisscross applesauce around the board, completely surrounding the black king. And since this queen on a3 was not doing anything special, so Georgi brings it back to a5, and finally Tal castled. And till now, you can see white position is just wow. So the question is, how can black now proceed from this position? And guys, here the best move for black is to attack this bishop with h6, trying to kick this bishop, because currently it is in a very perfect diagonal. And after bishop goes back, knight to d7, preparing to bring this knight to f6, and finally, getting his king to safety. But in the actual game, after Tal castled, here Georgi plays e6. And guys, this is the first fatal mistake by Georgi, giving this important diagonal to the white bishop. And guys, this is the first move, or we can say the first step towards the downfall of black position, because now Tal brings his rook on e1, eyeing the black king. And guys, still black can consider the move h6 so that he can kick this bishop, but Georgi plays a6. He wants to push b5 so that he can attack this active bishop. But the problem with that move is now Tal brings his dark square bishop to f4, directly targeting the weak d6 pawn. And it looks like white is definitely going to rip open the center. So in this position, Georgi should consider the move queen to d8 so that he can guard this d6 pawn as well as stop white incoming attacking plan. But instead he plays e5, which is a huge mistake, or we can say a blunder, because that's exactly what Tal wants, to open the center, and Georgi himself helps in to achieve this plan. So Tal, without any doubt, just captures on e5, d takes e5, and as you can see, since this bishop is attacked, so Tal will obviously defend it, right? But guys, Tal is not that kind of player. In this position, he hits his opponent with an amazing move, queen to d6. And guys, what a move. I mean, he's just hung his knight along with the bishop. And the idea is, let's suppose if black decides to capture this bishop with e takes f4, now comes this beautiful move, e5. And guys, forget about everything. I mean, just look at this move. And basically, it's a nasty trap that Tal has created here. I mean, let's suppose if black decides to capture this knight with queen takes c3, that will be a huge blunder, because now comes e6, and you can see what's coming next. So to stop this, f takes e6 is forced, but bishop takes f6, and if bishop to e5, rook takes e5, queen takes e5, knight takes e5, and you can see it's already over for black. So that's why after seeing this all complications, after queen to d6, here Georgi goes for queen takes c3, and he basically decides to capture this knight. But guys, in reality, this is even worse. And now Tal is like, thank you so much, Georgi, and he slides his rook to d1, threatening mate on d8. And to stop this, basically bishop to f6 might be the best option, but Georgi desperately plays knight to d7. And now I just want you all to pause the video and try to think that what Tal played in this position. And guys, if you find the move bishop takes f7 check, then congratulations, you have some basically of Tal brain cells. And either black goes for king to d8 or king takes f7. In both the cases, it's losing. Okay, so let's suppose if this king goes to d8, now knight to g5 with the idea of knight to e6 mate. So to stop this, queen to c4 is the only move left, and now white can just capture this queen and win the game. But guys, no, there is something even more special here, which is rook to d5. And now comment down that how many of you finds this move. And the idea is to block the route of this queen so that if pawn captures, then again knight to e6 mate. So after rook to d5, if let's suppose queen takes d5, e takes d5, and you can see now no one can stop this mate. Okay, so let me go back to the original game. After bishop takes f7 check, here Georgi decides to capture this bishop by king takes f7, and now the same check, which is knight to g5, king to e8, and in this position the final move by Tal is queen to e6 check. And in this position, Georgi resigned because obviously king to f8 is not possible due to queen to f7 mate. And if knight to e7, queen to f7 check, king to d8, and knight to e6 checkmate. And let's suppose after queen to e6 check, if king to let's suppose d8, knight to f7 check, king to c7, and yes, you are right, queen to d6 checkmate. What a game by Tal. I mean, he completely dominated the center in this game. So that's why in the initial phase of the game, building a strong center is so important. In this game, you can see black focused more on the queenside attack, but his center was weak, and Tal took full advantage of that. Like this video, and I will see you in the next one. This is your host Bison signing off. Bye bye.